I'd like to call the City of Apache Junction Council meeting of April 18th, 2023 to order and ask everyone to put their cell phones on silent, including myself. The invocation will be led by Council or Vice Mayor Schroeder. I wanted to say Sherwalter, and I got that one wrong. The Schroeder, and the pledge by Councilmember Heck. Draw a blank.
Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity to serve this community, bring us all together to make decisions to help grow this growing city. We ask that you have your hand on our first responders, our police, our fire, and our paramedics. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I apologize.
It's all right, Chip.
My best friend Sherwalter, and that's what I have written down. Okay. Roll call.
Mayor Wilson.
I think I'm here.
Vice Mayor Schroeder.
Here.
Councilmember Cross.
Here.
Councilmember Heck.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Nesser.
Present.
Councilmember Suller.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. As a reminder, all items in the consent agenda will be approved with one motion. If a council member wishes to remove an item for further discussion, the request must be made prior to approving the concerning the consent agenda and will be moved to new business. Do I have a motion for consent agenda?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the consent agenda be accepted and approved as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Cross.
Yes.
Councilmember Heck.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder.
Here. Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Nesser.
Yes.
Councilmember Suller.
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. We have 4 awards and proclamations to be presented. And I'll start, I've kind of passed it out a little bit. So Library, Johnson.
Yes, is Tracy Curtis here?
He's here yet.
Come on.
Come on up, Tracy.
Read it.
National Library Week. Whereas libraries provide the opportunity for everyone to pursue their passions and engage in lifelong learning, allowing them to live their best life. Whereas libraries strive to develop and maintain programs and collections that are as diverse as the populations they serve and ensure equity of access for all. Whereas libraries adapt to the ever-changing needs of our communities, continually expanding their collections, services, and partnerships. And whereas libraries play a critical role in the economic vitality of communities by providing internet and technology access, literary skills, and support for job seekers, small businesses, and entrepreneurs. Now, therefore, on behalf of Chip Wilson, Mayor of the City of Apache Junction, who does proclaim National Library Week to be April 23rd to the 29th, 2023, and encourage all residents to visit our library to explore the wealth of resources available. Signed and attested to the 18th day of April, 2023.
Well, I didn't know I was supposed to get my picture taken or say anything to anybody. Pam called in sick, and here we are, so thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. I'm Tracy from the library, and I'll see you in the next week, right? Thank you.
Brian?
Oh, okay. Proclamation Building Safety Month, May 2023. Whereas the City of Apache Junction is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on safety and essential role or our home buildings infrastructure play both in everyday life and when disaster strikes. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up community is archived through the devotion and vigilance, guardians, building safety, fire prevention, official architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas the modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas it starts with you, the theme of Building Safety Month 2023 encourages us all to raise awareness about building safety on personal, local, and global scale. And whereas each year in observance of Builder Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investments at home and in community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, on behalf of Mayor Chip Wilson, Mayor of the City of Apache Junction, Arizona, we do hereby proclaim the month of May as Builder Safety Month, signed and attested to the 4th day of April, 2023.
Too much glare off the paper.
Adrian, take it off the keyboard.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm Adrian Alegría. I'm the Building Safety Manager for the Building and Safety Inspection Division. The International Code Council is the author of the currently adopted building codes. And in celebration of the International Code Council Building Safety Month held in May every year, the City of Apache Junction Building Safety and Inspection Division will collaborate with the Apache Junction High School Construction Technology class to assist in raising student awareness in regards to building safety related to construction process, including permitting and inspections. The campaign team will be Building Safety Starts With You. And on Tuesday, May 9th, we will conduct a meeting in the Apache Junction High School with a series of educational presentations, provide lunch, and very much that's it. And again, thank you, Mayor and Council, for your support.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes?
this is one of the areas that gets very little recognition, but is one of the most important things that we can do as a city to ensure that all of our buildings and homes are built safely and properly. And I want to thank you and your team. Thank you.
Okay. Designation of April 28th as National Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can be the solution in combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind, water, cutting heat and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees, where they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. I now therefore, Chip Wilson, Mayor of the City of Apache Junction, do hereby proclaim April 28th as National Arbor Day. Parks?
So very quickly, thank you, Mayor and Council, for that proclamation. We kicked off this month with our Earth Day event on April 1st at Horizon Health. We want to invite you all out to the the Earth Day Read and Rec event that is partnered with the Public Library and Parks and Recreation Department, April 21st at Prospector Park. We planted 8 trees this past few weeks at Prospector Park. And we're looking forward to bringing back to you information that's going to help our city to gain the Tree City USA designation. So thank you again tonight.
Thank you. Professional Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the Office of Municipal Clerks, a time-honored and vital part of our local government, exists throughout the world and is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the Office of Municipal Clerk provides professional link between the citizens and the local government bodies and agencies of government at other levels, and serves as an information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve administration of the affairs of the office of municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it's most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the Office of a Municipal Court. Now, therefore, I, Chip Wilson, Mayor of the City of Apache Junction, do hereby proclaim the week of April 30th to May 6th, 2023 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week. Jennifer.
Your Honor, council members, thank you very much for the proclamation this evening. The work that we do cannot be done without an amazing staff. And when I say staff, I talk about all the city employees. It is the team effort that is reciprocated between departments that help each of us achieve and succeed our daily work, let alone achieve the goals that the council has set for us for each fiscal year. I would like to recognize who I do have here this evening, my deputy, Evie McKinney, And our business license coordinator, who handles everything with business license, registration, and even some zoning issues, is Donna Scruggs. It is their ownership of their job, passion for what they do, their amazing customer service, and support of each other on a work and personal level that makes each day enjoyable, whether it is a rough day or a good day. Leadership is exceptional in empowering and supporting staff, and I am excited to be here every day. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Whoops, excuse me. Now, intergovernment meetings for updates from the council. Yes,
Your Honor.
go ahead.
So as representing the city council on the board of GPEC, Greater Phoenix Economic Council, I'm made privy to information updates that affect the Phoenix metropolitan area. And one very important area, obviously, we all know, is water supply, water conservation. So recently learned that the Gila River Indian community received funding as part of a conservation agreement that will help not only the Gila River Indian community, but also many other water users across the Colorado Basin, which includes us and Arizona, to protect the stability and sustainability of the Colorado River system. Now this, the funding will help to, as part of a system conservation and efficiency program, which helps to protect the reservoir storage, which just means that we're conserving more water, and actually they say it will add 2 feet to Lake Mead. Now, I know if you know Lake Mead, you know 2 feet isn't a lot, but at least we're adding water to Lake Mead. And then they're also saying as part of this agreement, there will be 125,000 acre-feet of water conserved in the Indian community in both 2024 and 2025. So the main thing is, just so everybody knows, there's a lot of effort and many different components and elements working together to conserve water and to make certain that we will have a water supply into the future. So I was encouraged by that. Thank you.
Anyone over here? No, sir. Nope. Okay, well, I've got a few of them. I attended the Arizona Bicycling Summit for 2023. This was ended up in the latter part of March, but it's looking at improvements for biking connectivities in and around Arizona and how they can do it, and some of the things that they're looking at. They do have currently a map out that gets bike routes throughout the whole valley, and there's also some major bike routes in Sedona, Prescott, and Flagstaff. In fact, the one in Prescott is being recognized nationally for some of the bike routes that they have up there as well. Some of the things that we discussed was safe bike and auto. One of the things I did learn, this distance between a bicyclist and a auto is minimum of 3 foot. And even if the bike rider is riding in the middle of the bike lane and you're driving your car, you can be avoiding that 3 foot range very easily because it is very, I'm going to say that's a good distance involved. And of course, especially if you're pulling a trailer or a horse trailer, presents problems. One of the things I thought was interesting, they talked about an Idaho stop. It's not currently the law here in Arizona, but they're looking at trying to do it. And what this is, technically, each bicyclist that comes up to a stop sign or a stop where they're supposed to be stopping, every bicyclist has to take his turn and stop at the intersection, just like a car. Idaho stop will allow all the bicycles to go through at one time. So less backup of traffic involved on it. But I know that we're not out there trying to give tickets to everybody, so I think we can get around that Idaho stop fairly easily. Today I was at Skybridge groundbreaking. Again, this is the further, I'll say, development of Skybridge, which is not only a place for doing, I'll say, international imports and exports through the Mesa Gateway Airport, but also it's an area where industry can be growing as well. And they just broke ground on another 250,000 square foot building. This is the second building that they're in the process of building. So they're going to have over 500,000 square foot buildings available for industry. This past Saturday, I was at the Battle of the Badges, and I got to throw out the first ball. Didn't make it across the plate very good, though, I admit that. But it was a good game, and it was very interesting. The unfortunate thing is our police department lost to the fire department again, but it was only 5-6, so they did a real good, outstanding showing. In fact, they had the lead several times, and unfortunately, they let them catch up and pass us. And on Saturday also, and Sunday, was Ranch Rodeo at the Apache Junction Rodeo Grounds. And it was interesting, it was enjoyable, and I look forward to doing it next year. One of the things that they had was what they called a veterinarian giving a shot to a calf. What they did is they had 10 calves in an area, and they called out the number of the calf that's got its collar on, and so they had to go in and rope that calf, get it under control, and then once they got it under control, and then they had the quote veterinarian come running out with a handful of shaving cream and was able to hit them, and then had to turn around and go back to the area, and they were timed. And it was fun watching them chase this calf all around, and finally getting a hold of them. And of course, one of them, the calves, was smart enough to make the rider of the horse drop the rope, so he was running around with rope dragging behind him, and everybody chasing after him, trying to grab a hold of the rope. So it was an enjoyable opportunity, and hopefully we'll continue it on next year, and we'll have more attendance and involved in this. That's it for us. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bryant Powell, City Manager. Tonight, just wanted to highlight a few items before we jump into our presentation from the Apache Junction Police Department. I don't know if anybody noticed, it said guns and or hoses, right? Guns and hoses. Yeah. So we had some fun with our friends, pretty close, yeah. We did make some ground, Chief, but next year we've got to get one, right? So one of the fun things about that event is the fun that Marty Harshman, one of our sergeants, has. It's just the camaraderie they have between each other. Notice the different jokes that they have, and it's a great group, and they do so much together to make sure we're safe out there. So we're grateful that we've been able to receive at the staff level a good number of items that we'll be working on from the retreat. I want to thank everybody involved in that process. So tonight we'll start off with a couple items that you had asked about in school safety and also traffic. And so we'll have those on tonight, but there are many others that you will ask us to keep bringing back. So just wanted to make sure you knew that staff is already starting to prioritize those and work those. And lastly, ADOT. ADOT is working a drainage project out here on the northeast part of our city that is going to take some time. It's going to be a significant time project out near Tomahawk and 88. And so we're trying our best to communicate to everyone the reroute or the detour, and we expect hopefully around the beginning of June that will be open. So we'll turn this over. Al, do you want to go next, or do you want the AJPD? So we'll turn it over to Chief Mike Pooley.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I'm happy to be here to represent the Apache Junction Police Department. We're going to give a brief update on kind of what's been going on in the department and some of the questions that have come up in the retreat and just on one-on-one conversations with people. First off, I have been here now for about 17 months in Apache Junction, and I can't express enough how much gratitude I have towards each of you and the entire city of Apache Junction. We feel the support from the mayor, the city council, city management, everyone in the city, and it is a wonderful place to be. So thank you. So as we talk about what's going on in the police department, I'm going to hit on a few things, and I hope it helps you answer some questions. We're a busy city for being a smaller city, but when we look at calls for service, here's a little comparison of what we've been dealing with. We have seen them go down. In 2018, we responded to almost 49,000 calls for service. Last year, we were at 39,000, just over 39,000. There's a lot of different reasons for that. Some of it's because technology, some of it's we're out there doing things more proactively. We're out there in the community, and I'll hit on some of those things as well. When we look at what some of the things that we respond to, we deal with mostly property crimes. And those are the things that whether it's your bike gets stolen or somebody breaks into your vehicle, those are things that we are always trying to deal with. We use a lot of our technology. We're using our social media to try to get more information out there on what's going on. But those are the big things. When you compare us to other cities around the state and around the valley, we're very low in our crime rate. It's not something that it's something that we should be very proud of. And I always tell this in community forums or wherever I'm at, and I really credit our low crime rate to the residents of Apache Junction. This is a city where people look out for one another. It's a city that they work with the police department, and I couldn't, as a chief of police, I couldn't be more happy with that. So when we talk about technology and some of the things that we've been doing this last year, because of all of you, we were able to implement body-worn cameras to every one of our officers. Every officer, sergeant, and lieutenant now has a body-worn camera. When they're out on the street, they make sure it's activated. Any type of interaction with the public, it's recorded, and there's a lot of reasons for that. It helps us with training purposes, transparency. It helps us to become a better police department, and we want people to know what's going on and how our officers are interacting with the public. Cell phones. We were also able to provide cell phones to all of our personnel, our officers. They now can do a lot of things right in the palm of their hand, whether it's just making a phone call out in the field to getting pictures and taking evidentiary photos to uploading things into the reports from their phones. The other thing is the flock cameras, and I'll hit on that in just a second, and then a Spyder technology, which I'll hit on individually. So just a recap of flock cameras. If you remember last year, we came to you with a proposal to get these cameras. They're called license plate readers, or LPRs, automatic license plate readers. These are cameras that we currently have 15 that are in the city of Apache Junction. Just about every entrance into the city of Apache Junction, it reads a license plate. Now what it does not capture photos of people's faces or anybody within the vehicle. All it takes is a snapshot of the rear of the vehicle, and it is not photo radar. So we went live on September 19th of last year. Since then, those cameras have read over 2.5 million license plates here in the city of Apache Junction. We had over 737 hits. Just today, I think we had probably 3 hits. Now, a hit can be anything from a stolen vehicle or a missing person. About a month ago, we had a silver alert where there was an individual that was reported missing, an elderly gentleman that was reported missing out of a neighboring city. And it alerted us that this vehicle that he was last seen in was in our city. Our officers were able to locate that individual, and he was disoriented. He had no idea where he was at. I credit that to this technology. Now, it also helps us with crime. It helps us identify vehicles that have been involved in a crime. It helps us locate stolen vehicles. We've recovered so far 20 stolen vehicles, and we've made 8 arrests from those stolen vehicles. So it's a very useful tool. It's something that other cities are using across the state and across the country. And Flock Technology is a great company to work with, and we have not had any issues with it whatsoever. So let's talk real quickly about Spyder technology. This is something that you may not have been aware of, but it's something that if you're ever in contact with the police department, it's an important tool that we're using to measure our customer service as well as to notify victims of any updated information. So it's an automated customer service platform for public safety through text messages. So if you call 911 or you call our non-emergency number, it enters into the system through our dispatchers. It then sends a text message to the call taker to update them on where the officers are at. It lets them, and it continues to provide updates. If it's a non-emergency call for service, whether it's your car was broken into and there's priority calls, it'll send you a message to let you know that you have not been forgotten, officers are en route. After the call is done, it'll send you an updated message with your report number. It'll send you a message on how to get updated information. It'll send you a message on who the detective is and how to get a hold of the detective if it's a crime where you're a victim. It's triggered through our records management system and our computer-aided dispatch, which is RMS and CAD. And so one of the things that I really do like about Spyder technology, a lot of times we try to figure out what are our officers doing, and are they providing the acceptable service that we want from Apache Junction. So what it does is last month, just in the month of March, there was over 3,000 messages sent out to people that had called either our non-emergency number or 911. And we had 30% of those messages, those surveys, returned to the police department. So what are they saying? So here's one of the questions that asks, how satisfied are you with the professionalism of the communications personnel with whom you interacted? We got 4.59 out of 5. How satisfied are you with the professionalism of the Apache Junction police officer with whom you interacted? We got 4.72 out of 5. Speaking with the company, Spyder-Tech, just as early as today, as late as today, they let me know that they're working with over 100 police agencies throughout the country. They are working with numerous police agencies here in Arizona, and they were extremely complimentary of our score, saying this is above average and higher than most agencies ever get. So it makes me, as the chief of police, very proud of what our men and women are doing, whether it's answering the phone or whether it's our officers that are going to interact with the public. So let's talk real quick about traffic safety. One of the ways we deal with traffic safety is we get funding through the Governor's Office of Highway Safety. Last year, we got a little over $291,000 to help us in traffic safety. Now, that could be DUI enforcement, it could be just regular speed enforcement, it could be pedestrian enforcement, it could be bicycle enforcement. Each of these different ways are ways we address traffic safety. So an example is 2 years ago in 2021, when Ironwood became our jurisdiction, we had some significant issues of speeding. People were using that as the Autobahn. They were going extremely fast, criminal speeds, sometimes in excess of 80, 90 miles an hour, if not higher. It resulted in lots of collisions. In 2021, we responded to 67 total collisions. With the assistance of GOHS funding, or Governor's Office of Highway Safety funding, we were able to use that funding to do enforcement on the Ironwood corridor, which in 1 year we reduced from 67 to 25 total accidents, which is a 63% decrease. So although it is people getting tickets and getting educated, and it is a way that we use this type of funding to reduce collisions. When you look at the years from 2019, total collisions in all of Apache Junction, we responded to 664. Now, those were either minor accidents, no injuries, some of them were injuries, and some of them were fatals, where someone lost their life. In 2019, we had 664 accidents. Last year, we responded to 591, and this year we're currently at 184. So our accidents have gone down. I credit that to the enforcement that our officers are doing and the education that we're putting out there. We are getting more people into Apache Junction. More people are moving here. And our traffic, our roads, the traffic intensity is going up. I'm sure people that have lived here for many years have noticed that. Our job as the police department is to make sure that we try to keep the roads as safe as possible through education and as well as enforcement. So some community engagement. When I got here, one of the big things I really wanted to do is continue the community engagement. Last year, we went to at least 40 different community events, and we were able to interact with people. And a lot of that is what we believe helps deter crime. It helps people understand who the police department is. It helps them to know what we do, and we also use it as education and building relationships. We've had a lot of different opportunities to go to different churches, different organizations, different groups, and interact with them, answer questions, different communities in and around Apache Junction. And I'm very proud of the officers. It is not hard to get volunteers from our department to go to these events. They enjoy interacting with the public. They enjoy being out there answering questions. And even some of them are tough questions. Some of you have been with me at events where there were some tough questions. I appreciate those questions, and I think they're necessary to make us a better department as well. So let's talk about school resource officers and school safety. This is something that is near and dear to my heart. I think our schools are extremely important for our youth to be able to go there and feel safe. This year, in the beginning of the school year, we were allowed to have 3 school resource officers, one at the high school, one at the junior high Cactus Canyon, and one at Apache Trail High School. We hadn't had SROs at Apache Junction High School or Cactus Canyon for some time, so it was good to get them back. This year so far, we have responded to over 500 calls for service at the schools. Now, what that means is instead of sending a patrol officer that is out dealing with other calls for service, we have a dedicated school resource officer that knows the school, that oftentimes knows the students, oftentimes knows the parents of the students, and definitely knows the administration and the teachers. They work together to solve problems. Some of the problems are crisis intervention calls for service, where a lot of these youth may be going through a crisis in their life. And it's not a place for the police department, but the police department is there to help support and guide and mentor and help solve some of these issues. Another thing that they do is they teach classes. They're teaching the students, they also teach the teachers. We also, during our time at the schools, we train for active shooter. It's something that we are always talking about. As you know, last month what happened in Nashville, absolutely tragic and horrible. But the officers responded appropriately, and they did everything exactly like they should and saved lives. I'm confident, and I come here to tell you that our officers have responded to calls for service where they believed that there was an incident going on, and they responded extremely quickly, professionally, and without hesitation. And again, I couldn't be more proud of them. Just recently, we had an incident where there was a student that had threatened to do some type of violence at the school. And when we were able to identify the student, we located the student, and we took the student into custody. We got the student's phone. And during that, the process of going through the phone, there was a comment that made me proud, and it said some negative things about Apache Junction Police Department because we were doing too much at the schools. And it gave note that there was some type of hesitation because of our presence that we stopped something that could have been a very tragic national story. So we don't know how many acts of violence we stop. We know that our officers are prepared. They have the best training and the equipment necessary to stop any type of tragedy from occurring. You know, we often say in the police department, we have to get it right all the time. The bad guys only have to get it right once. And it is something that we have to stay on top of our training and be on our A game every single day. So again, we have school resource officers, and I'm very proud of them. And Mayor, members of council, that is my update from the police department. We're very excited to be here. We're excited for the growth of the city, and I want you to know and feel comfortable and have absolute confidence in the police department and the men and women of our department to know that we're doing an absolutely wonderful job. And that's very much a credit to each of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could. Chief, just want to thank you. You have taken this department from being really outdated to having some of the top-notch technology out there. It's showing in your numbers. Your numbers are dropping for accidents and crimes, which is outstanding. And your leadership has brought this department to where it needs to be. And I want to say thank you, and thank you to all the men and women of the Mesa Police, Mesa, that's me.
They're okay.
Apache Junction Police Department. You guys really are a shining star in the valley, so I want to thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yes.
Your Honor, so Chief, and I guess a lot of my concern relates back to that incident in Nashville, and I think for all of us, and probably even more so the police officers, that thought of children being harmed because of something like that is just tragic, but it's scary. Now we have 3 safety resource officers. Is there a plan eventually to try and put one in every school?
So,
Or if not, why are we just choosing size versus?
it is really up to the school boards and the schools on which schools want to have a school resource officer. I can tell you if the determination is that they want a school resource officer there, we will get one. We have a DARE officer also. The DARE officer works with the elementary schools and is at the elementary schools. Again, it's one officer. We are going to be also implementing an Adopt a School program within our patrol division where the patrol officers will be designated assigned to a school, and when there's not a lot of calls for service, they can go interact with the school. We know where our schools are. We know they can be a target of opportunity, and we're doing everything we can. So I do appreciate that question as well.
Okay. So, but you're saying that it's the individual school, the leadership
Correct.
there is making the decision to request or to have or not have an SRO?
Yes, we cannot just send an officer to a school.
Okay. That's puzzling to me. but-
Well, let me clarify a little bit here, Your Honor. So right now, the schools, I think if they had Apache Trail, let's see if I've got this right, Chief. Apache Trail, AJ Unify has gone out to get 2 grant funding for
Correct.
2, and they've worked with us on which 2. I don't
Yes.
think that they would say no if there was funding either through the city, the state, or the feds to go to other schools, either at other district schools or even Avalon and or Imagine Prep or Apache Trail. Just those 3 started off with grant dollars from, as I understand it, federal dollars that are helping fund these.
Correct.
So that's one thing that we need to be aware of. And then the DARE dollars are coming from the city's general fund, and that's where our DARE officers in the elementary schools, Avalon, and I'm not sure if they go to Imagine Prep.
They do.
They do.
Yes.
So that's 5 different elementary schools that they're at, but not full-time, like, for example, the junior high at the district, the high school at the district, and Apache Trail.
Right.
Does that help?
It helps. It's still puzzling to me. I mean, with all that's happened, I know if there were an incident at one of our schools, I know that our police officers would go hell-bent for leather to be there in probably a matter of minutes. And then in a matter of minutes, bad stuff can happen. And I guess again, maybe I'm just reacting to that tragic situation, but it's not just, it's been happening a lot, and I just thought, man, why wouldn't every school want to have a safety resource officer? It's just a puzzle to me, I don't necessarily have the answer, but it does seem a little puzzling to me.
Yeah, I don't think that they would say no. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably not.
We just got to keep working with them on
Yeah, and we have a great relationship with our schools.
all the schools, yeah.
Yeah, they've been fantastic with us.
And kind of segueing onto that is that a lot of our younger generation has lost respect for law enforcement over the last numerous years. And having a school resource officer at a school can help build that bridge back to where they see the interaction, they get the interaction, and they see that these guys can be trusted, that they're there to help, not to bust your chops and not to be the bad guy. And that's just a wonderful thing. And for you, Chief Pooley, you're doing an outstanding job. You've gained the respect from just a tremendous amount of the populace of Apache Junction and this council, and we really appreciate all the hard work you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Definitely do. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Nice job, Chief. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Please extend my gratitude to the rest of the force.
I appreciate it, and I get a lot of the credit, but it's verbally, but I can tell you it is the men and women of the department that make me look okay.
Starts at the top.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
bet.
Appreciate all that you're doing.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Now, Al, you ready?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Al Bravo, Public Information Officer for the city. Just a couple of things going on that everybody should be aware of. We have had a kind of a busy season. We're kind of winding down the season a little bit. But one of the most important days we have in the city is this Saturday, April Fool's Day. It's kind of the unofficial kickoff of the summer pool season that actually starts once school gets out at the end of May. But at this point, we start to get everybody's awareness on water safety around the pools, whether you have one in your own home or our public pool at the Superstition Shadows Aquatic Center, which is where this will take place this Saturday. Everyone is welcome as always. It gets to be very, very busy, so make sure you look for your place on Saturday for April Fool's Day. Saturday is also National Drug and Prescription Take-Back Day. This is always an interesting one for us because this is a national day that is sponsored by the Drug Enforcement Administration, but other folks who are involved in it. But of course, for everybody who doesn't know, you can take back your prescriptions and drugs here every day of the week because, of course, we have the receptacle in the lobby of the police headquarters right here at Superstition in Idaho every weekday, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, correct, Chief? 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, you can drop off any of your old prescriptions or any drugs that you find, you can do that. But of course, like I said, nationally, they do have a day that's set aside. It's this Saturday, so you can also come down here on Saturday from 10 until 2 to drop off your prescription drugs that you do no longer need. And we always remind everybody to make sure they do that. You should not be flushing them down the toilet or doing anything along those lines as well. A reminder that the Dutchman Dog Park remains closed for scheduled maintenance. This is much needed for the dog park. It will be reopening around the middle of May, so make sure you let your folks know. And as always, I remind you, you can get all the updates that you need about stuff going on in the city, traffic updates, road closure updates, certainly events, and everything that the City Council does as well if you sign up for our newsletter at the city website, which of course is apachejunctionaz.gov. And those are your announcements for tonight, April the 18th, 2023.
Thank you. Okay. We have no old business, no new business. I don't have any council direction to staff. So do I have a motion for a selection of dates, times, locations for a budget work session, public hearing, and adoption of tentative and final budgets for fiscal year 2023 and 24?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that a budget work session be held at 7 p.m. on Monday, May 1st, in the City Council chambers, and that a public hearing and adoption of the tentative budget be held at a special City Council meeting as required by state law at 7 p.m. on Monday, May 15th, in the City Council chambers, and that a public hearing and adoption of the final budget be held at a special City Council meeting as required by law at 7 p.m. on Monday, June 19th, in the City Council chambers located at 300 East Superstition Boulevard.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser.
Did you call me?
I did.
Oh,
It's okay.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Heck,
She said
Yes.
Schroeder.
Councilmember Soller,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Cross,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, call to the public. I'd like to remind everyone that the call of the public is a courtesy and not required by law. It's a time for the public to express requests, communications, comments, and suggestions. Requests to speak forms must have been filled and completed and handed in to the city clerk before the end of the city manager's report. All issues shall be presented in a professional manner without personal attacks. Under the open meeting law, council cannot engage in discussion on issues presented, but may respond to criticism, may direct staff to follow up with the speaker directly, or place this matter on a future agenda for council discussion. There is a 3-minute limit for each speaker. And I've got 3 of them here. April Pearson.
Good evening, Mayor Wilson and City Council. I've brought with me a letter to present for the council, also copies to the
Ma'am.
prosecutor.
Name and
Ma'am,
address.
Can we get your name and address,
Oh,
please?
I'm sorry. April Pearson, my address, 5984 East 22nd Avenue in Apache Junction. So I have a letter to present. I want to use my time just to mention about an injustice that's occurring. It's in speed enforcement, and it's also a liability for the city. And the Apache Junction Prosecutor's Office is overstepping bounds relating to engaging in enforcement. I want to add, I'm a local attorney, actually just moved here from the West Valley. My son's a prosecutor. I'm pro-law enforcement. I'm pro-speed, and I'm not complaining about speed enforcement. But, and I also know that sometimes when you're in the public, you hear outlandish claims against district attorneys, prosecutors, police. I'm not one of those people. That's what I'm not here for. I also want you to know, for 10 years, I sat on your side of the bench. I came from California. I was on Public Works Commission there. And in that time, I heard matters related to speed limits, traffic lights, intersections, sidewalks, and requests for school crossings. So the letter that I have that I'd like to present, and I'm not going to read to you, just leave with you. I know I have 3 minutes. Just outlining facts and analysis regarding enforcement of traffic on Ironwood, as was mentioned by the police chief, and particularly the speed laws and the incitement of criminal enforcement in school crossing when it's not properly marked, noted, or even allowed by the city or the county. I did do public records requests for the county and the city to confirm the statements that I presented. I have references to the statutes of the state, and I just wanted to bring this attention because I think that there's an overreach on the city prosecutor's office. I did bring this up because I was one of those people, and I was pretty much laughed out of the office. So if it's all right with you, could I leave my letters? And
Yes.
thank you very much.
Okay. Jamie Brown?
Jane Brown, Val Vista Road, Apache Junction, and I always draw the short stick on getting the honor of coming to see you. I want to say something about fair housing. It's a very noble thing to have fair housing, and I think one of the things that we do in AJ that we could maybe back away from is we allow these 55 community-plus communities to exclude everyone under 55, any children, even people that have to end up with their grandchildren through no, intent. Leisure World has changed their rules. They're now opening up a certain percent of Leisure World to families. Okay, they've decided that they should not exclude children. And I think that in the state of Arizona and our part of the valley, we have an awful lot of people that can't afford $1,000 a month rent. However, they can afford $300 a month space rent, and they can afford a single wide trailer. The limitation to the single wide trailer is the financing. Banks will not finance a single wide, and they don't like to finance the double wides unless they're very new, like I think it's less than 3 years old. But we have 10,000 mobile home spaces in AJ that are renting out for less than $500 a month and that are going idle half the year. I just really think we could look at that and get more families into those homes. The other thing I wanted to say is about water. You addressed the water and the dam work and some of the tribal stuff that's going on, because there's 30 tribes that rely on the Colorado River. But right now, with that new plan, the new SEIS, if the least amount of water cut for us is going to be 178,000 acre feet. Oh.
Keep going, 30 seconds.
178,000 acre feet is our minimal cut, which is going to be a $116 million loss in ag production in Arizona, $108 million loss of income, and 1,500 jobs lost at least. If we get the worst case scenario, the next one, not the absolute worst, but the next worst, we are going to be losing 741,000 acre feet of water, $264 million of loss in ag production, $452 million in lost income, and 7,000 lost agricultural jobs. And at this point in time, Arizona has got a beautiful, we even have a crop guide that you can get for free at the library talking about our farmers markets. And you can get 3 seed packs for free at the library every time. You can grow your own salsa here. But we have great agriculture here, and we should protect the water for agriculture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew Meek.
Andre Meek, 1327 South Bel Air Road here in AJ. First off, great job, Chief, and your soldiers. Thank you. Start with last meeting, Commissioner Cross mentioned the bad accident that they had up on Highway 88 and Lost Dutchman. Now, you go there on a weekend and you'll see 20, 25 cars backed up on Dutchman trying to make the left turn onto 88. So stuff like that's inevitable. Another thing is traffic is just like screaming all the way up through there, past the museum, past Goldfield. I know this is a state thing, but the city should put pressure on the state to drop the speed limit to 45 in front of the hitching posts in that intersection, and then maybe past the Elks. And then once you get into where the museum is up at Mount View, drop her down to 35 until you get to the campground, because we're getting in the lunch trucks. They're trying to get in there. We got the museum, and that's getting busier. You got Goldfield, that's always busy. And then you got people that are trying to ride their bike on Highway 88, but, they can only ride on the street. And so you got people trying to pass them and traffic backed up. So we also need bike lanes running at least to the campground. I don't know if you'd want to go too much farther because the hills will kill you. But that was one thing. Another thing, water. I see that Phoenix is talking about H2O, recycled water, and making us drink it, but they need other cities to back them on that, so please don't. And God, I had another point, now forget what it was. But anyway, that was pretty much it. You know, another thing too on water, there's still, like, when I talk about rain harvesting, I mean, I get a lot of people, well, what's that? You know, there's 13 inches a year fall in AJ. That's a lot of water that could be trapped for agriculture in your home. And, you know, I mean, if homes were built, new ones were built with some kind of a catchment, you know, they've got gutters already, why not put it in tanks and let them use it to irrigate the gardens and stuff and push that? You know, it could be done, and it's not being done. And, you know, I mean, a little backing from the city just said, you know, hey, why don't you guys do this? Thank you.
Thank you. Any council or any comments from the council?
Yes.
Yes.
Regarding the water conservation, is there a way the city could look into coming up with a public awareness brochure that we could provide?
Absolutely. Thank you. Yep, we'll work it.
Well, thank you, everyone. I'll call the meeting adjourned.